Hi, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the Estate Planning Expert Series. Well, I'll be chatting with experts on the topic to help financial advisors grow. Today's episode is about estate planning as a subscription and how seat-based pricing is redefining advice from financial advisors. I'm here with Michael Salazar. He's an account executive at Trust and Will. Michael, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Michael, the idea of estate planning as a subscription is still very new for many financial advisors. I'd love to hear from you. Why do you think this model is gaining traction, and why do you think it's becoming such a game changer?
Yeah, totally. I think that it's finally putting advisors in the driver's seat for estate planning. I think previously they've had to always rely on other professionals in order to make sure that their clients have an estate plan in place, mainly the local attorneys that they work with. Here at Trust and Will, we want to empower the advisor to be kind of at the center of the estate planning conversation. Not to say that they're the ones creating the documents or that they're offering legal advice around estate planning, but they can kind of quarterback the entire situation when it comes to education, preparation, accountability, making sure that clients really do get these documents in place. I think advisors like being able to be at the middle of all of that. And we're really putting them in the driver's seat to prioritize estate planning. I also think that I don't think that advisors have really seen true value when it comes to estate planning. Of course, they know that it's something that their clients need, but for clients that have more straightforward needs, what I hear from advisors is, hey, sometimes I feel bad sending my client to an attorney to spend $2,000 on a will. Or I feel bad when my client needs a straightforward trust and they're spending $3,000 to $5,000 to set that up with an attorney. Here at Trust and Will, we can bring that cost per plan down a lot. And I think that's really helping advisors see more value in estate planning beyond just creating the documents.
Absolutely. Creating more accessibility. There's a better way. I love that answer. I'm curious, how are advisors using Trust and Will's seat-based pricing model to deliver more value to their clients and to their practices? What have you seen? You talk to advisors all the time.
Yeah, so we've seen it used in a lot of different ways. For one, we do see some advisors actually provide the estate plan as a courtesy to say, hey, you're one of my clients. This is really important that you have this in place. This is on me. And for any advisors watching, if that's something you're interested in, would definitely check with compliance to make sure that that's all good and to see how you could kind of position that. One thing that we've seen that is super common is for them to roll it into a financial planning fee. So to say, hey, if you're paying this planning fee to our firm, estate planning with Trust and Will is included in that, right? So you're already paying this financial planning fee. Estate planning with Trust and Will is now accessible to you as part of that fee. That's probably been the most common approach that we've seen. We also do have advisors that will kind of charge the client independently for the engagement. And if you're looking at like an itemized receipt of what that looks like, it may be the cost of the estate plan plus time and energy that the advisor is spending helping the client, with education, with preparation, maybe providing a notary service in the office afterwards, or assisting with trust funding. All that to say, there's a lot of different ways that we're seeing advisors implement this. And I love that it gives advisors flexibility to implement it in the way that makes the most sense for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just on a webinar yesterday with an advisor who shared his process, and this question came up a lot. How do I validate charging more than what Trust and Will charges directly? And you're right, there are so many more value adds on top of just the estate planning document creation that are coming from that time and energy. So what about, beyond pricing? What do you believe sets Trust and Will apart when it comes to supporting financial advisors to offer estate planning services?
Yeah. So the first thing I think is getting them really familiar with our process, with what is a client going to see? What are they going to do when they're actually creating their estate plan? What does the interface look like? How do they interact with support when they have a quick question? What are the next steps for them when they finish? In terms of for the advisors specifically, I think one thing that sets us apart is really the fantastic team that we've put together to help with day-to-day advisor support. So if someone has a quick question like, hey, I just talked to a client, I'm not sure if they're the right fit for Trust and Will or not. Can you tell me if I can recommend you guys on this case? We'll respond same day and let them know either, hey, yes, sounds like a case that we can definitely take. Here's what you need to know before getting started. Or, hey, based off what you told us, maybe not the best fit for Trust and Will. They may want to meet with a local attorney. So we always want to make sure that advisors feel supported and that those clients, or that they're really qualifying those clients before they start the estate planning process with Trust and Will, to ensure that they're going to have the best experience possible. Now, the other thing that we do that advisors have really, really appreciated is before an advisor's effective date, so before they begin that seat-based pricing subscription, our team will set up an implementation meeting with them. That implementation meeting is so important. During that meeting, we'll ask an advisor, hey, ideally, what would you want your involvement here to be? Like, perfect world, perfect scenario. How do you want to be involved in the estate planning process? They'll kind of lay out how they're envisioning implementing us. And then based off that, we'll take that and make some recommendations. Hey, have you checked out this resource? This has been really effective for getting clients up to speed on what documents they're going to be completing and why they're so important. Here's a checklist that advisors love to run through with their clients to make sure that they have all their information ready and that they know what types of questions are going to be coming. And then also, just sharing some tips on how other advisors have been able to create more of a sense of accountability, make sure that they get it done by a certain date. And really what we want to do is just make sure that the advisor has a repeatable, scalable process in place. So when they identify a client that needs an estate plan, they know exactly what needs to happen next, and how they can keep them on track.
Absolutely. That is so well said. In general, seat-based pricing simplifies the process for financial advisors, and it starts with Trust and Will providing so much value and support and resources. But on the other side, what you see with the client is just a totally simplified process. You've probably run across a few advisors who've maybe been a little hesitant to integrate estate planning. Would you say, Michael?
Yeah, I think that there is some hesitancy. I think it's a fairly new concept of saying, as a financial advisor or financial planner, I can offer estate planning services in-house. And there's a few things that we want to make really clear, and I'll take the time here on this conversation to make it clear. We're never asking or telling advisors to offer legal advice or tell a client what decision to make. There's a clear line that you should not cross there. What we always want to encourage advisors to do is lead with education. Make sure that clients have the information that they need in order to make a confident decision. I think that's one thing that's super important. Of course, we do have some suggested ADV language for advisors to include in their ADV if they want to start implementing estate planning as part of their financial planning fee, or if they want to start charging clients for this service. We do have that. That's often a question that comes up is, hey, can you guys help me kind of add this to my ADV? But also, we very intentionally designed our client experience to be client-driven, to create a degree of separation between the advisor and the creation of legal documents. So it's the client who's the one clicking, typing, entering the information in order to effectively create the estate plan. And we want to make sure there is that degree of separation so that advisors feel confident that the client knows, hey, my advisor isn't creating this estate plan for me. They're not offering me legal advice. They're going to help me, prepare for this process and get through this process. But ultimately, it's Trust and Will that's setting up the documents. That usually helps advisors kind of understand how we can be positioned without putting them in a vulnerable position.
Right. And with reducing some of those mental complexities, I think that they have on the topic. So I love that answer. I'm going to ask you one more question, and let's look ahead, right? What's your vision, Michael? What's your vision for how seat-based pricing will continue to change the way advisors deliver advice and estate planning in the industry?
Yeah, I think more and more advisors are going to start to realize that there's a lot of value in estate planning beyond just making sure that your clients have an estate plan in place. We've published some case studies already, and what we've learned from our advisors has been pretty amazing and honestly really inspiring, that when they're meeting with these clients and going through a checklist with them, they're learning a lot more about that client.
Yeah.
right? That client's going to be really in a vulnerable state where they're talking about death. What's going to happen to everything that they've worked so hard for when they pass away? What's the legacy that they're going to leave? And during that conversation, they may reveal to the advisor some information that they wouldn't in any other circumstance. So, think about family dynamics, or things that they're afraid of in regards to leaving money to a certain individual, or is this money going to end up with a certain individual? I think that information like that can really help the advisor better serve the client. It's also proven that this is leading to more planning opportunities for advisors. Because when you start to talk about family, those clients are going to say, hey, this is actually something that my brother needs, or my sister, or, there's chances where the advisor can step in and say, hey, I know you just became a grandparent. I would love to talk to your daughter about nominating a guardian for that baby, getting a will, getting a POA in place, and I'd love to help them do that. So I think that really what we're seeing and what we're going to continue to see is advisors using estate planning as a tool to deepen their current client relationships, but then also expand their reach, get introductions to friends, get introductions to family, and hopefully, as a result, be able to continue to grow their business.
Absolutely. And a lot of our case studies that we've published on this topic, they share that exact thing, that exact experience that advisors have had with referrals. So well said, Michael. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with me today. It's always a pleasure hearing from you. I loved watching you at the Fearless Investment Summit. Just on stage talking about the topic. You certainly have a lot of passion. And for anyone who's listening to this episode, if you're interested in learning more about trust and will for advisors, there's a QR code in the bottom corner of this video, or just head over to trustandwill.com/advisors, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Michael.